Hello, I'm Joe Leonard, CTO and Vice President of Security Strategy at GuidePoint Security. And today we're going to be discussing the benefits of a security program. And today's guest is Johan Milbrink, Vice President of Technology at Avenu Insights and Analytics. Welcome, Johan.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be
We meet again. We meet again, right?
here. Right.
Hey, Johan. Why don't we start out? Why don't you tell everyone about your role, and what your company does, and
Yeah. Yeah. I'm the VP of Technology for Avenu. It means I run IT infrastructure and security for the company. We're a company that provides revenue enhancement and administration services for state and local government. We do this through software solutions as well as some consulting services.
yeah, and I guess there's no challenges out there, right? Managing
There's
information
no
technology.
lack of security challenges, that's for sure.
So you Avenue and GuidePoint have been working together for a long time. So
Yeah.
how did that start out? What was the initial engagement like?
Well, so in my case, I tend to go with companies and people that I trust, and it happens that many people that I know from working together at prior companies went to GuidePoint, and then I also knew from the same working at the same establishment that GuidePoint had a very strong reputation in the market. So when the need around security arose for us, it actually felt very natural to reach out and start a partnership. We started with assessments. We performed a security architecture review. We performed a security program review. We did a firewall assessment, and I think in the end we also ended up creating a large set of security policies for the company, and that's how we got started.
So,
It's
so,
great.
so what was that like when they initially started out? I mean, I imagine initially security wasn't a core component, right? And you started to do that, right?
When I came into this role, it hadn't been, and it was a challenge to add those components to the budget. But what I did do is, in this particular case, I added these assessments that I just mentioned to the budget, so that made it in, and I was able to get started. And I knew that if I had a reputable firm, a third party that could come in and state that we had gaps programmatically and technically, then that would bolster my case. So it's not just Avenue IT that's saying we have some gaps.
So I meet with a lot of customers today where they may not be they're not security, they're not mature, right? They're trying to figure out, hey, what do I do, right?
Yeah,
So they're looking at the security program review and what comes out of that.
yeah,
So, you went through that. So, what kind of feedback would you have? You went through program review, architecture review,
yeah, yeah.
and you got all this feedback that came back to you. Then what happened after that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big first step. First of all, there were no huge surprises that came out of it. We knew going in that we had pretty big gaps. I think it was good going through that. It helped us align to an architecture framework, right? So we aligned to NIST CSF. That was not decided prior. That was rather an outcome of the work we did. I think it's helpful in many ways. I think most importantly, it helped me explain to the executives how relatively immature we were at the time with respect to cybersecurity.
So
So
do you find
it
that
helped
this
me,
CSF helped you, like as a tool? It
it
made
helped me
it work.
formulate a plan. Like we formed a security roadmap based on the output from all those assessments, and it helped me articulate the plan, and it helped me build a plan around around the security roadmap.
And what was that like? Like, so when they went through, because that's a lot, right? You did that security architecture review, you
Yeah,
did the security program review.
yeah.
What was that like when you went through and trying to prioritize, right, all the things that because you're worried about business risk, right? You're trying to reduce business risk.
Yeah.
So what was that like when you went through
Yeah,
and tried
I
to
think it
prioritize?
became highlighted, right? It showed that we had a lot of gaps. I mean, um, And for us, it was mostly a question. I think the executives were on board, right? They knew we had gaps, and for us,
That's
it
the
was
big
most.
thing, right? You need buy-in. So
Yeah,
that
you absolutely need buy-in, right? And at the
buy-in.
time, we hadn't had it, but once these assessments started coming in, and again, it's from a third party, the light bulb started going off, and it became more of a question of, well, okay, what do? We can't do it all at one time, so let's build a roadmap, and that was what we set out to do. We had to make sure that we had something that was reasonable from a financial plan perspective. At the
Yeah.
same time, there was also pressure coming in, right? There was pressure coming in from customers. They needed to make sure that we had the controls in place that they required, because
And
in many instances, the system that we sold to the customer, right? So they want to make sure, well, is it secure from.
and do you find that do you find that customers are coming in more now? They're really wanting to understand your overall security posture?
It's a common. It's becoming more and more common. Absolutely, security is on everybody's mind. It's also, in the sales, from a sales perspective, it's also important, right? We, being serving state and local customers, we have to respond to RFPs. The RFPs always have addendums or paragraphs talking just about security and how we address security.
So a lot of the work of what you're doing now is really becoming an enabler, right? A validation to your customer, right?
From that perspective, absolutely. From that perspective, this group of mine is sort of injected a bit into the sales process so that we can, actually respond with confidence, and it also comes up with audits. Some of these solutions that we have are subject to audits. Some of these contracts that we have are long-standing and they get refreshed, and when they get refreshed or need to be renewed, security-related addendums and exhibits are always there and need to be answered.
Yeah. So let's shift a little bit. You initially started off, we talked about there's a lot of standalone things that you're doing, right? The program review, the architecture, the fire, a lot of standalone little tasks, right? So somehow how did you go from doing like the security program review to
Yeah.
more of like doing a security program where the whole program tying it together? How did that come about?
Well, we felt that taking in a programmatic approach was a stronger posture from a posture perspective, stronger approach. I work very closely with GuidePoint on that. As a matter of fact, we set out to create a roadmap. We didn't quite know at the time, how what the time span for that was. We set it out to be an 18-month security roadmap that we wanted to execute on. And to your point, it's you can either do it piecemeal. But in our case, we had pretty substantial gaps, and we had gaps on the control side, technical controls, and we had gaps on the program side. So we needed something more encompassing, something more holistic that addresses both sides. Um, and so, we worked up a roadmap that consisted of both technical controls and program controls, and we worked together to evaluate the right solutions that supported each one of those items in the sequence that we had laid
Yeah.
out in the roadmap. But the biggest, one of the bigger challenges around all this is how do you get the executives to understand what the impact of all this, not just on the risk side, but also on the financial investment side. And so when do these costs start hitting? And so once we had the roadmaps, once we had gone through these steps, the assessment all the way up to creating a roadmap, we also then evaluated solutions. We came up with quotes and statements of work, and all of that got folded in to this program, this journey that we are now on. And it was easily absorbed. It was good. It was nice to present it to the executives that fashion. It was easily absorbed by them, and
Right.
we got the funding we needed to execute.
Yeah, what was it? Was it challenging though initially getting that buy-in? Because a lot of the customers I work with, that's the big challenge, right?
It,
It's
it,
like
it is.
because this is new, right? And one of the challenges I see is that, and I'd be interested to hear what you think about it, but as we go through and implement these programs, we're changing the culture of an
Yeah,
organization, right? We're integrating security into people and process and technology, where in the past, a lot of it was really focused on technology,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
what did that look like for your organization?
No, it is a big challenge. Sometimes security is overlooked, right? Or doesn't get the right level of funding that it needs. That was the case for us. That's why I stressed the importance of carrying out these assessments. It brought visibility, right? And it enabled us to create this financial plan. I'd say another challenge with these programs is, you know, once you get funding, once you start executing, now you actually need to make sure you're staffed for it, right? It's we have an ongoing operations perspective, because as you roll out more and more programs, more and more controls, you need dedicated individuals to handle it operationally, and then also realize that you from an ongoing operations perspective, you're taking folks away to execute on these projects to make sure that they're implemented. So
Do you
that's a
find
big.
with what's going on in the industry, do you find in general the executive teams are wanting more reporting, they're wanting to know more of what's going on?
They do. They do. They come and ask consistently. They read the trade rags just like we do. They come asking. I think one really smart and good piece part of our program that we have with GuidePoint is that we have quarterly reviews with the executives, where there's a forum where they can ask questions of industry experts, and you know they can also they get to see the progress being made, right? It's
And,
at their level. It's hard to, you can't touch security. It's hard to see, are you getting more secure, are you eliminating risk, are the technical controls working?
and
You
and
don't know.
how hard was it initially? Like I've been in a lot of organizations where we've done quarterly business reviews, and
Yeah.
the executives are not at those meetings. I mean, how difficult was it get your executive team to come to those meetings and hear
It,
hear the update?
in this case, they are all for it. They're all for it. They buy into the security roadmap, which is fantastic, and it's also it's in a combination of, we had a customer that got seriously affected by a security incident, so they got to see up close the rather devastating effects that can have, and they didn't want it to happen to us. So no, I had no problems getting the top level executives to buy in and join these reviews. They're all for it. That's what happened in our particular case.
Yeah, I mean that's great, right? This is like the model of what we want to do, right? We want to have, we implement a program, we identify the weaknesses, we come up with like you mentioned, a roadmap.
Yeah,
And then we look at, I mean, some of the challenges, the risk to your organization, right? You can't afford to fix everything, right? So you have to prioritize,
yeah.
the things to do, right? How do you feel? You feel you guys have accomplished a lot? I mean, how's that going?
Oh yeah, no, we've come a long way. I gotta tell you, the we started with security awareness. We both from a program perspective and technical control perspective. We started additionally with endpoint security, email security. That's what came first. So that feels good to have those rolled out, and made everyone feel better about certain levels of security, right? Then we rolled out vulnerability management. We're an organization that's grown by acquisition. In many cases, the infrastructure has sort of been neglected with that as part of those acquisitions, and not really updated well. Now we have a vulnerability program in place, not only a solution that internally scans for vulnerabilities, but also we inject that into our ServiceNow platform. So we have we can take steps to prioritize and remediate. So we feel very good about that. That's an important program we rolled out. We rolled out a log management solution for visibility detection. We didn't. So these are pieces that we did not have in place. So that's why I feel that in our case, we've come a long way. And
And it's common, right? I mean,
yeah,
what you're looking at, I mean, you and I've talked before, right? That
yeah,
I talk to a lot of customers, right? And we talk, and the challenges you're talking about are many of our customers have these same challenges, right? It's not like I don't have any of these challenges Johan's talking about. Yeah, you do, right? But it's a matter of going out. I think one of the things, Johan, that you guys have done great is going through developing the plan, sticking to the plan.
yeah,
You leveraged us in areas where we could help, but you leveraged your team. Both the teams are working together, right? That's a big thing, right? I mean,
it
working
is.
together. Leverage us in areas where you need us, but make it so that your team can do it, right?
Yeah,
And help build your organization so you can support this, right?
yeah, and do it for the long term, right? Do you focus
Right,
on more, prioritize correctly
right.
that for your organization, and then follow through, like you said, with the plan.
So what
Uh,
do you see? So you've made these investments. You just told us about some of the things that you've done, some of the
yeah,
improvements that you've witnessed in your organization.
yeah.
So as you go forward with your program, I imagine things are going to change, right? That you know,
No doubt.
what do you envision in the upcoming year? What do you see things that are going to change that
Well, yeah, two parts to that answer. First part is right now we're focused on data security and identity and access management. That's going to be next for us. Those are two biggies, I'd say. And then I think we have to sit down and reevaluate because we're coming towards the tail end of that first 18-month plan. It
Yep,
was always presented and advertised to the executives as this is the beginning.
yep.
This is what the first few things we need to accomplish, but then we're going to build a follow-on uh, to the plan. This is an ongoing program. This is not a
Right.
one and done.
We got take it. We got a factor too. Look at, hey, what's coming in the future, right? The types of attacks. Do
Oh,
we have
great
the
point.
right control,
Absolutely.
right? So we,
Ever evolving
yeah,
environment, right? So for sure, yeah,
yeah. So I mean, a lot of customers are out there. They're probably watching this video, and they're wondering,
no doubt.
what type of advice. So, what type of advice would you provide to a company that's doing something like this? Because there's a lot of moving parts, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you named off a lot. So, any advice you would give to a company on how to go about this?
Well, what was I drumming my own drum here, but I mean, what worked really well for us was to find a trusted and reputable firm that you could work with, right, and have them assess the environment. That's it sounds simple, but that's what we did. Now that gave, in my particular case, it gave my IT organization the ammo we needed to communicate the gaps to the organization, to the
That'd
executives.
be like your baseline, right?
Yeah,
You have that
that's a great
baseline of
way of putting it. Here's the
right,
baseline. In our case, the baseline was very low. It
right,
needed to be understood, and the GuidePoint helped me articulate that through these assessments, showing, where we are very red, where we have some glimmer of hope in green.
right.
Um, right. So it helped me then build the plan. And as I was building the plan, of course, they were asking about the financial plan to support the roadmap. That's super important. They wanted to understand what the impact was for the next, in this case, 18 months, so that they could plan on their side and find the funds necessary. Because this was at the time not a budgeted exercise. Okay,
Yeah.
so to me, find that partner, do the assessment, build the roadmap, accompanied by a financial plan, and get through that, get the buy-in,
It
right?
sounds like that other thing you mentioned is really having that executive team. Some of the challenge that I've seen out there, what was it like converting security speak into business speak so that they could understand that, right? Was that something that you had to do? How did that work?
That's something that actually GuidePoint helped with a great deal. To your point, some of this can get really into the weeds, right?
Right.
This needs to be sometimes put in sort of to the form of analogies and making it a little bit simpler to understand, no doubt. But overall, I think I think the executives were on board. I think the conversation after we had buy-in quickly shifted to, well, how are you really gonna carry this out, right? There's a lot of projects that you're talking about rolling out in short succession. Do we have the right staffing? Can GuidePoint start in the time frame we need to start? And how you're going to support this from an ongoing operations perspective. So the planning around that, come prepared with a plan, and be ready for those types of questions, basically.
Well, Johan, I mean, we appreciate, working with us, and I mean, it's great. It's great to see your organization and you're making, great progress, and we appreciate, the services and working with you, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Yeah, likewise. I think I know pretty much every team member by now that's in this Mid-Atlantic region, but it's been a great experience. I really enjoy working with all your team. I find that the expertise, the domain expertise they all bring to the table has been really good. I'm pretty straightforward guy. I tell them I need advice for the short term, but also for the long term. You need to help me prioritize all these items, and you guys have come through in every aspect. So I'm very grateful for that.
Great. Well, thank you for your time today, and thank you for giving us your feedback on how it's worked out for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.